So you're going somewhere on vacation and you want to fish. You know there's a great beach and there's all these fish that you keep seeing people post about. And you're like, man, I want to do that. But you don't know where to start. Well, have you ever thought about hiring a guide? Let's talk about that this week. This is Finding Demo Surf Fishing. A lot of people don't seem to think about a guide available to take you out fishing somewhere. So, what we have this week is a guest to talk to you all about it. We got Mike Smith of Smitty's Surf Fishing. He is one of the local fishing guides in our area of Navarre. You should definitely take a look him up. He's got quite the story. He is a 28-year Air Force veteran. He's one of the very few Florida-friendly fishing guides in the area, which is a huge, awesome qualification to get. You can find him on Facebook at Smitty Surf Fishing, YouTube. He has an awesome channel that after this episode, you're definitely going to want to go take a look at this because there's something we're going to talk about today that you really need to see to believe. So that's also Smitty Surf Fishing. You can find him on Instagram there as well. And we're going to have in the description his Zazzle shop. We'll explain about that one a little bit later. So, Mike, thank you for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey.
And I was sitting here jamming out to your intro music. I was air guitaring over here, and then all of a sudden it stopped, and I was like, and I heard you talking. I was like, is he talking to me yet? Do I start? What's going on?
we go off the cuff here, man. With none of this
Yeah.
like structured stuff. That's like for the professional craziness over there. So, Mike, you've been fishing a long time, like pretty much your whole life. After the Air Force, why did you go into guiding?
Because I like to fish, for one. When I retired, I went to work, got a job at Lowe's. I figured, outdoor lawn and garden, this would be great. And it's just something about being out there and being outdoors. That didn't the Lowe's gig was okay, but I wanted to do something more. And guiding, teaching people to fish, taking people fishing is kind of really what I wanted to get into. I got some friends that do offshore stuff and have been really successful at it. And they said, man, what you really need to do is start doing some surf fishing stuff. And at first I was a little skeptical. I was like, man, there's no way. Because when you start doing some research, there's not many surf fishing guides around in the area that do it full time anyway. And so I was like, okay, let's give it a shot, see what happens. And it just kind of took off. Been doing really good here lately. Beginning was kind of rough, which I figured it would be. But I like getting out, and I just like interacting with people. That's one thing after retiring that I kind of missed, and that was the interaction with people, the teaching, and just showing folks really what the Gulf Coast has to offer. That's another benefit. They come down here. A lot of folks are down here on vacation. The Emerald Coast is a great vacation spot, and they come down here, and a lot of people get frustrated too when they come down here, because they're expecting like I think you mentioned it in your intro. You see all these fish that are being posted online and stuff, and you're like, man, I want to go catch that. And fishing's not that hard. I can do it. And they go out here and they try fishing in front of their condo or wherever they're set up at, and they get frustrated. Either they don't have the right bait, they have too big of equipment that they're using, or just not the right equipment. And I want to make sure people have fun when they come down here, enjoy the beach, get on some fish, and just enjoy themselves.
Absolutely. And I've fished with you a few times, and we've definitely looked down the beach, and we've been able to see, yep, they're not from here. And it's like, man,
Right.
you got to get the right gear. Like, come here, come under the umbrella here. Let me show you how this works. It's definitely, I totally get that. So I mean, you kind of hit this question already, but I'll throw it out there anyway. What is your absolute favorite part about guiding?
Putting people on fish. That's the most stressful and the most rewarding. Any of the guides around here will tell you, when you have folks that are coming down to have a good time, paying you their hard-earned money to catch fish, the pressure's on. And I've been really fortunate. Most of the clients I've taken out understand that some days it's just fishing. Um, and they may be there, they may not, but that's what you're paying a guide for. You're paying a guide to take you out where the fish are and to put you on fish. And that's stressful for the guide, but it's also so rewarding when you see folks bringing in fish. Um, Especially, when they look at you and say, that's the biggest Spanish mackerel I ever caught. That's my PB right there, and I got it from shore. This is crazy. We go boat fishing all the time, and I'm catching it, no more than 30, 40 yards right off the shore here. Um, and then and then the teaching aspect, um, especially with kids, when you have families that come out, and that's what makes being a surf fishing guide so great, and it's so much fun for families to get kids out there. And they first they look at the big rods because we're using anywhere from a 10 to a 12-foot rod out there, and it's a little intimidating for some kids. And then you start them out. I typically start them out on the 10-foot rod. I'm like, you want to learn to throw one of these things out there? And they just kind of look at you, and once you see them start slinging it, and then they start moving up and up, and then they get to that big 12-footer, and then they sling that out, even if it's only, 50 yards or whatever, that they get it out. If they can get it out there, that the light up on their face, that pretty much made their whole trip. And then if they catch a fish on the cast that they put out there, that's even better. You know, it's memories they'll take back and just enjoy.
Yeah, man. I mean, is there anything better than that? Like the kids aspect is always the fun one. It's like, all right, cool, you're good, man, or just
Exactly.
crushing it all the time. It doesn't matter. They can bring in a catfish, and they're like, "This is a great day."
Right.
You did good.
It, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, especially, and that's a lot of fun for kids is it's getting them in close, even if they're catching, the small whiting, the blue runners, and then we turn around and throw that blue runner back out there and catch a shark with it, or
Oh,
we
good times.
or we cut him up and catch a nice redfish with that and stuff like that, and then they just all of a sudden they're just ecstatic. Um, and then usually you got to help them reel it in because that's a big fish for a little guy to bring in or gal to bring in. But again, it's the memories that they're making, and it's memories that'll stick with them for life.
Yeah. So you were talking about teaching. So besides
Mhm.
guiding, you also offer a teaching service for surf fishing. Is that correct?
I do. Well, I'll put it this way: we started to, and a lot of the the trips and the charters that folks book with me, I go over a lot of that stuff anyway. So going into next year, we're probably going to take away the teaching service or the instructional classes that we were doing it because when we're out on the beach, it's not just sitting there staring at each other. You know,
Right,
um,
right.
if you come out, you're going to learn how to surf fish so that, if you still got days on your vacation, you can come out and apply what you've learned. We go over things, reading the beach. Why did I set up in this particular area? Why do I have my line staggered? Why am I using this bait as opposed to, um, and a good example, in some things, it's like, why am I using fish bites over fish gum today? Or why am I using live bait over artificial today? It's just you have to know your area and you have to know where you're fishing and what the fish want. And fish are very finicky from day to day. We'll go
Yeah.
out there one day and be crushing it on cut up shrimp, and then you go out there the next day and they won't even touch it.
Oh, I hate
Uh,
those days. Ugh.
so, oh no. So it's going out there with a diversity of baits, teaching folks that that's important, when they come out. Um, it's just all around. It's just the instructional classes. Like I said, we're going to go away, but next year. But this year, I go over all of that on a charter anyway. And when we're out there, I'll teach you to cast the rods. I'll teach you why it is we're using a certain baits, what to look for when you're out there. This time of year, summertime in particular, you get those pop-ups of uh, schools of either Spanish or bluefish coming through, or you get the ladyfish popping through and
Oh
they're up and then
yeah.
they're gone really quick, right? So having rods ready to go, always having a casting spoon or a diamond jig or something like that you can throw out there real fast, hit those schools because as soon as they show up, sometimes they're gone just as quick. Um, and letting just showing folks how to do that is amazing, and we'll do all that on a charter. So why do an additional class for that when you can just come out and we get some fishing in at the same time,
Yeah, it makes
some
total
practical
sense.
knowledge. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, when I wrote that article not too long ago, I mean, I've mentioned you specifically in my
Hmm.
article about why it's so important to actually hire a guide. It's really not a bad thing. I mean, when I moved down here, I only knew what I knew from Bama and Tony from their fish gum from their channels on
Hmm.
YouTube, and it was like, well, how do I apply this? And then it was like, well, if I hired a guide, I could learn how to cast, or I could learn the zones, I could learn how to read it, and that is just huge information for people to get. I mean, because it's universal. It's not just a panhandle thing for, well, hey, where's the rip current, or where's the trough, or where's structure. It's universal to our fishing styles. So
Exactly.
I think it's
And
great.
reading the beach part is huge. Um, Knowing where to set up. Why would you, I tell the clients when we go out here, setting up near rip currents is the best thing to do for fishing. And they're like, well, I thought rip currents were bad. Well, rip currents are bad for swimming,
Yeah,
but they are excellent for fishing.
yeah, let's not
That's
go there.
where, exactly.
So let's turn a couple things and then we'll jump right into that one. So what area do you service right now?
So right now, depending on conditions, we'll fish in it. My main base of operations, let's start that. My main base of operation is Navarre Beach. I would, prefer to fish Navarre every day if I could. But depending on what the surf conditions are, the grass conditions during the summertime, we will fish anywhere from uh, Okaloosa Island all the way down to Fort Pickens in that area. Lucky enough to be one of the surf fishing guides that's able to go on the Gulf Island National Seashore and take folks to use that shoreline as well. And that's been huge, especially when surf conditions aren't that great. You can turn to the bay and we can still catch fish and have a good time. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
huge. That's been huge for us. So main base of operations, I'd say would be Navarre. If I could fish Navarre every day, I would. We have such a great structure out here, and what makes it so great here in Navarre is we actually have the shelves and we have those drop offs so quickly. Whereas if you fish, like say Destin, and out in that area, you have to go out a ways before you actually get to a drop off. Um, so you may go out, 50 yards or so, and you're still need a thigh deep out there. Where here in Navarre, you can cast 50 yards out and you're already into that 9, 10 foot of water in some areas,
Yeah, those troughs are
which is
real here.
huge. Yeah. And then that brings in the fish, they use that as highway. So the deeper areas they can come into, I think we have a lot more schooling out this way. Uh, Although you're going to catch the same fish up and down the coast, I think we here in Navarre have just a better fishery. Of course, I am a little biased since, it is my base of
I
operations.
mean, why wouldn't you be? I mean,
I mean, come on.
hey, so for those of you who don't know, Mike and I live probably within 5 miles of each other, and we fish these
Yeah.
areas a lot. So it's easy for us to be partial to this, especially when you start looking at the Facebook group Panhandle Surf Fishing. We're in there. You start seeing the reports of our entire zone, and it's like, yeah, Navarre's the place to be this week. That's right. But it seems to be a lot to
Hmm.
that. But it's awesome, and and the great thing for you is it becomes your home turf. So you already know, like, hey, look, I know the grass is bad here at Marine Park, but it's awesome down at Pickens. Let's go to Pickens and let's crush it. So,
Exactly.
um,
Um, and even as little as just a beach access or two over, um,
oh yeah,
that, some beach accesses hold fish and some beach accesses hold more fish. They all hold fish, but some are nice and then some are a lot better based on the features that are out there. And those are kind of things that And again, that's why you come to a guide or hire a guide to take you out there to know those things. Fishing in front of the towers there by the pier, it's not the best spot to go to, right? But if you're
oh
here on
yeah,
vacation, that's the only spot that's where you're going to go hit, and then you're frustrated because you didn't catch fish.
right. I remember this probably about 6 months ago. The hot place was like the Brick House. Down on
Hmm.
our right by the border of the National Seashore, and then the weather changed, and it's like, well, the Brick House isn't the place to go anymore. Now you got to run down to Opal Beach on the National Seashore
Hmm.
or down to Portofino. It really changes it, and it's really nice. Well, I guess it's not nice. It's kind of a cool thing that with our area, our surf changes so dramatically, so often too. Our structure is different. What it was last week is definitely going to be different after a hurricane or the recent one that came through. We know that the beach is going to be a completely different structure, so we have to readjust our game for fishing. So it's
Exactly.
it's nice how that works. I mean, it's kind of a fun little like, all right, well, new challenge. Here we go. So
Absolutely.
so you recently posted a video to YouTube of fishing
Hmm.
from the shore, like we always do, but you were able to capture not one, not two, but I believe three red snapper. Is that correct?
Four.
Four. Oh, see, right there.
Four.
Four.
Four, all over 24 inches, and safely released back to the bay. Uh, yeah, that was huge.
Tanks.
Plus a couple
Tank.
sharks that we
Yep.
were hitting up out there. It was, yeah, that was a good day. That's something, I've been trying to do for a while, and finally got the right tools to be able to
Uh-huh.
do that from the beach.
So the tool that Mike's talking about, and you need to take a look at this video. He got a remote control fishing boat from Joysway. I'm sorry, Joysway is the maker of it, and you picked it up from what is the website again, Mike?
Dragon, Dragon Sailing North America, or actually rcfishing.world.
There you go. They are
Yeah.
the only people that have it right now, too. So if you guys want it, which I promise you, you do, especially if you want to get into what we're about to talk about, that is the place to go. So this fishing boat, it hooks up your bait, and you can take it out 300 meters, 400 meters, 500 meters. 500 was the max, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think it was.
500 meters is the max on this
Right.
particular unit, yes.
So imagine normally casting, you cast what, Mike? About 130, 150, 130 to
Yeah,
160?
yeah, about in that range average.
Right. And that's with us using pompano rigs and
But
like small bait.
exactly, that's using, your typical dropper rig with a 4 ounce sinker on it.
Right. You had to use, for these other fish, you have to use cut bait, which means that your weight goes up significantly with cut bait. I think a lot of people are starting out, don't really think like, well, how much weight is that? Well, how big is that chunk of lead that you're slinging for your sinker? But also, how big is that piece of fish that you're sending out? That weight matters. With the bait boat, you can attach your sinker and the bait and rock it out to these areas. So on the bait boat itself, it has a depth finder that is also a fish finder, so you can track these things as you go. So in the video,
Crucial.
oh, so cool. In the video, you can see where the drop off was. That is a monster indication right there of, hey, okay, we know there's structure change. This is going to be a good spot. So, Mike, tell me about the bait boat. Give me your particulars, and please, after that one, tell us more about the red snapper.
Yeah, so I've been searching for a while to try to find a something that can get my bait out a little farther, offer something more unique for my clients. And came across the RC Fishing Surfer is the name of the boat. Um, and it's imported currently by Dragon Sailing. Uh, they're the only North America distributors right now of the RC Fishing Surfer. And it has two bait release, well, three kind of bait releases on it.
Right.
There's a cavity in the back that has a pop-up door that your bait could literally slide out of. So you could hook, say, a 8 inch or so mullet on about a 7/0 circle hook and slide that in the back. And then when you got to your destination where you want it to release, you just pop the hatch open and that will just slide out the back. So that's one way to deliver a bait. The other way is you can actually rig it. It has release clips down there that are actuated by your controller, that when you get to the spot, you just kind of turn the knob and it releases. The actuator engages, releases your line, and it'll drop that way as well. Um, and then, the Fishing Surfer comes with or without a depth finder. At first, I thought a depth finder wouldn't be that crucial,
Yeah.
especially on the surf, because, okay, I can see the color change. I need to be blue water out at 150, 180 some yards out there, drop my bait there, and I should be able to pick something up. But man, to really know that I have a 2 to 3 foot ledge or 2 to 4 foot drop off is money from the shore.
Yep.
Fish are going to be hiding out there in those drop offs. They're waiting for, most of them are ambush predators, so they're waiting for something to just drop in on them. you talk about flounder, flounder sit out there and just wait for the bait to come in. From my days growing up in Virginia, we did a lot of flounder fishing up there, and you were looking for those drop offs, those ledges. Those flounder would be stacked in there, waiting for those bull minnows to come right across the top, and then boom, you're on. So looking for those pockets out here is huge, and that's kind of what we did um, when we went out there looking for the snapper. We weren't specifically looking for snapper. We were looking for grouper, honestly, because I think there's some grouper out there that we can get a hold of, and we just happened to bring up the snapper and then repeat it, and we were using, if you watch the videos, either my video or Brad's video, Bearded Brad or Fish Gum's video, we're using half a mullet or half of a whiting to send out, and you're just not going to sling it that far. If you when you think about it,
Right.
the leader that you need, the weight combined with the weight of the bait, your average rod is only going to do up to about 6 ounces. You may have something that'll do 8 ounces, but you're not going to sling that 180 yards. You know, you may be lucky if you get it 50 to 75.
Yeah.
But having this capability is it's just huge. Being able to go out there and drop it, and like you brought up, being able to see that ledge and that drop off, and it's a standard depth finder, just like you would have on a boat. It's just
Right.
remote, wirelessly transmit it back to your handset, and you can sit there and watch it and go, okay, I'm in 16 foot of water, say, and then all of a sudden I'm dropping steeply down to 30 foot. I'm betting there's fish there. Then you start marking fish, and you start marking bait fish, and you're like, oh yeah, there's definitely something there.
Yeah.
Um, you give it a couple minutes, and then bam, you're hooked up. I mean, that video was just amazing, and for every fish that we brought in, we probably lost just as many, um, which is going to be huge, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge granted, and that's just that one zone, and that wasn't even in the surf yet. That's the cool part. That was just
Yeah.
that one. So one of the other, I think, huge worries of people when it comes to this boat is that's a serious investment. Well, what if I
Yeah.
lose it? And Joysway did some really smart innovations with this, in my opinion. One, it's self-rights. So, I mean, if your boat
Mhm.
flips, it's game over. Like, how are you going to get it back? You have to hope and pray. Not with this boat. It self-rights back to the propellers being back underwater, and it can do its thing. And then I love that the GPS features that they installed on this with the chipset, especially
Mhm.
for the fact, if the remote loses contact, which hey, you never know when Mr. Murphy's just going to show up and be like, "Oh, you wanted to have fun today? No, I'm going to stop that fun."
Exactly.
Um, and the boat will come back. So as soon as you turn it on, you set the GPS waypoint. If you turn it off while it's out, or if it loses comm, the boat's going to say, "Oh, hey, there's a problem. I'm coming home." That that's like a double safety for your investment. It's
Yeah,
brilliant.
absolutely. That was one of my biggest things. You spend all this money for a.
Thank you. Thank you. I know. I know we're awesome.
I know. I was like, what was that? I just, I'm aliens, man. Aliens, man. But yeah, you spend all this money in an investment like that, and then you start sending it out. Now, the 500-meter range is perfect conditions, line of sight from transmitter to receiver. Um, but you start sending it out there, and you can't see it on the horizon anymore.
Oh man,
You
it's
know,
terrifying.
you don't think of it that much, but that's, you just think about a big bag of money dropping to the bottom, and you're like, holy crap, I just lost this investment. But you're right, the coolest thing is, and we've tested it, um, if for whatever reason you lose comms with the transmitter for more than 30 seconds, the boat automatically turns and comes right back to point of launch, which is huge. I mean, that's a great safety feature right there, or investment feature, however you want to look at it. Your boat's coming back to you. Uh,
Yeah.
and you get it out there. It does have LED lights on it, which is great. There's a blue in the bow and a red in the stern, so that you have some sort of orientation from shore, uh, which way you're steering and heading out. So the GPS function is nice as well. Um, the one thing I wish I could do is pre-program a GPS coordinate to go out to it. That's a little bit different technology, but when you get it out there, you can hit your GPS lock you can do 4 different positions. So if you send a bait out and you're getting bit at that bait, you hook up. When you send the boat back out, you can send it back to that exact same location and drop your bait. Um, and then,
Accuracy's key, man. But a lot of people
yeah,
forget
it
how
is.
important that is.
Exactly. especially if you're fishing structure, right? You want to get back to that structure. Close may not get you a fish. You want to be right on it. So having that feature is great. And you can store, like I said, you can do 4 different uh, locations, which is great. You just stick it in the water, go to GPS or go to coordinate, and the boat just takes off and starts dragging your bait out. It's great.
Yeah, man. And I love the LEDs so that an errant boat captain
Mhm.
doesn't run your boat over, kind of like something that happened to you and me in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Lucky floater, right?
Yeah, the lucky floater. Mike and I actually were playing with an RC boat a while ago, and we were taking the bait out, and I was like, "Oh, this is a great day." And then we look over, and this boat captain's just starting to come at us, like, "Maybe it's not gonna run over my boat." Oh my God! And there it was. The boat flipped, and thankfully, we got it back with the current, but it was definitely all right, that sucks. We can't let that happen again. So with this boat, it's bright red up on the top. So it's going to be really hard to miss. And with the LEDs, it's definitely going to be another visible indicator of, hey, stay away from me, don't hit me, leave me alone, which is awesome. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things I do love about the capability of this boat, and I think it's we've seen it with another bait boat on Lawless's fishing,
Hmm.
is for shark fishermen. Your
Hmm.
average shark fisherman gets in I'm sorry, shark angler, fisherman, fisherwoman, I apologize. Uh, they take their bait and they kayak it out. And I mean, they could go out. I mean, good. We've seen them go out stupid far before. I mean, I think I've heard close to a mile a couple times.
Hmm.
Um, that's real water when you're out in a kayak. And the stories also are, while they're regging out that bait, they're getting bumped by sharks and other creatures like, hey, what you got there? I want a piece of that.
Right.
So this bait boat takes a huge liability and risk and danger out of that one function, but also a time advantage because you're kayaking it out. It takes 30, 40 minutes, for the run back and forth. And then the the safety features, I'm going to have to edit that, damn it. The protection piece there for that person kayaking it out makes a huge safety. Like, hey, cool, we're good there, and you can continue to roll it. So if you had 1, 2, 3 boats or anything like that, you could have bait in the water within, I don't know, 30 minutes at max. I mean,
Oh yeah, we can, and we did that the other day. We ran 2 baits out and we were done in like 15 minutes.
right.
Uh, and running them out. And we did, Smitty Surf Fishing did pick up a second boat now because we
Congratulations.
are thanks. We like it so much. It did so well, and I was like, man, this is going to be huge. I need to get another one, and we'll probably get another one after the first of the year. So I think 3 would be my ideal. Not that I would use them all at one time, but you got to have backups.
Yeah.
It's all electrons, and if something goes wrong, uh, especially when you've booked a snapper trip, you got to make sure all your equipment and gear is ready to go.
Right. And then one of the ones I think that a definitely important piece to add to this is the battery life.
Hmm.
Boats like this, I mean, they drink batteries. But when we were talking about it before, you were saying that the battery life is actually not horrible, but you also have a couple spares. What was the last set of runs that you had?
So you're and I don't know, getting all tongue-tied here. I know nothing about the RC world when it comes to this. I've relied a lot on the owner of Dragon Sail, Chuck LeMayu, out there in Texas, who's kind of walked me through a lot of this and gone over some stuff. But battery life is is huge in the RC community.
Yeah.
And these, as long as you're taking care of them, like your average run out, and I'm talking, say we do 220, 225 yards out. And for reference, that's probably just on the edge of the second bar for those that are in the local area of the second bar out there. Run your bait out there about 10 minutes there and back. You come back to shore, disconnect your battery. I can probably get about 6 runs out of that before I
Dang.
need to swap out batteries. So for each boat, I ordered an extra battery. I think I actually have 5 batteries now, between the 2 boats, which is going to be huge. But with
Yeah.
every boat, I always get an extra battery. Now, the average surf fisherman, you may not need that because you're not running as many baits out. You're only going to run 1 or 2 for the day, or you're only out for that amount of time. So 1 battery may be sufficient for you. But the average runs are going to be, if you're averaging about 10 minutes, you can expect to get 5 to 6 runs out of a battery. Because along with getting out there and losing connection, right? The other bad thing you don't want to hear when you're running your RC boat out is your transmitter just starts making all these beeps and
Oh
all the lights start going
no.
off, meaning you're losing your battery. Um, when that does happen, it does have a reserve to come back to point of launch as well. So you're not going to get out there and lose your boat based on because you lost battery power. It will try once it starts running low to come back. Now if you override that, that's on you at that
Yeah,
point.
you own that one.
But it right, exactly. But the boat does try to come back when it starts losing battery power.
Oh man, I'd be working on my Ironman swimming right there. Like, nope, I'm getting that back. I
Exactly.
don't care what it
Well, that's
takes.
another reason I got the boat. I know what's out there. I don't want to go swimming out in that deep of water. I just let the boat do it, drop my bait, and come back to me.
It's funny how people kind of make a joke about it. I'm like, no, no, no. On the land, I'm the apex predator. In the water, I'm somebody's food. No, nope, I'm
That's
good.
exactly, exactly.
Well, Mike, thanks so much for coming on with me today. You've got some great knowledge. You're definitely going to be a lot of fun to go out with for people that need to come down for a guide. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen you do a guiding service. We went fishing once, and Mike had a charter next to him. I stayed away from him because it was just like, all right, yeah, he's working. But that whole family was just, they were ecstatic. They were catching fish. They were having fun. And you were just really energized, and it was really cool to see it and really refreshing. So I think it's
Yeah, I
really
appreciate that.
important. I think, yeah, no, you're welcome, man. It's good stuff right there. So one of the things I like to close with for the guides, particularly, is if you could offer a piece of information to someone for teaching wise, basically, hey, go look at this, and this might help you become a better angler. What is something you recommend for our area? If someone wanted to come down and fish, what kind of knowledge would you offer for them just to like, hey, go look into this?
Wow, that's a pretty good question. Um, I would so one thing I would do is so prior to or maybe once you get down here is go talk to your local tackle stores. Especially in this area, we have several between Half Hitch and Gulf Breeze Bait and Tackle down there. Several resources. The folks in there are there to help. They're not going to steer you wrong. They want to see you catch fish. Next thing I would do, jump on Facebook and start looking for local groups. The Panhandle Surf Fishing Group is a wealth of information and knowledge, and everyone's eager to throw it out and help you. A lot of groups that you'll get into, there's a lot of smart asses, if you will, out there, and they won't shoot straight with you. You want to know what we're catching them on, where we're catching. 9 times out of 10, the individual on there is going to tell you. You see a picture and the guy's got a lot of fish that he's going to let you know, yep, caught him at this spot and this is what they were biting on. Now, to go back to my previous comment, you got to make sure you have a diversity of baits when you go out there, because even though he caught them on bait X, may not necessarily mean they're biting on bait X when you go out there. And then do some research, look for local guides. I did the same thing when I went to Tennessee. We went to Tennessee on vacation. I wanted to do some striper fishing up there. First thing I did was jumped online and saw who was guiding, and started looking around, looked at the reviews, booked a trip, and we had a blast. My son and I went out there. We caught some nice striped bass and had a good time. So, definitely don't overlook the fishing guides, even for something which folks seem as simple as surf fishing. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and we want to make sure you have a good time when you come down here and visit.
Hell yeah, man. Awesome stuff right there. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for sticking around with us today. Thanks for coming and checking out Smitty and listening to Finding Demo Surf Fishing. Stay tuned for next week. We've got more good stuff coming. Take a look in the description. We're going to have all the links to Mike's information, and including with the boat. And I was talking earlier about this other shopping thing. Mike has a Zazzle shop. One of my favorite things that I didn't mention about Mike's services, after you catch a fish, Mike will hoist the colors on what fish you've caught. So he's got pompano flags, bluefish flags. I mean, the only thing we haven't got is the skunk flag yet. Is that correct?
No, I haven't made one of those yet, or a catfish, but I'm thinking about making one just for fun.
That's catfish, man. They find us every time. Oh, man. All right, Mike. Thanks so much, buddy. I appreciate you. And we're going to definitely have some more good stuff. So stick around. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you next week and stay for the next episode. Take care.